Oh my God, guys, I could not be more excited to introduce this week's interviewee on Your Biz, Your Rules. I'm speaking to the amazing Sarah von Bargen, somebody who I've been following slash cyber stalking for years now. Seriously, check out her blog, check out Instagram, check out everything. But first, listen to this episode. She's sharing some great insights on productivity, creating new habits, and living life better even when you work from home, because I think it's so easy for all of us to get trapped into better business, better business, better business, when really the goal should be better life. So in this show, we're bringing the two of those things together, and I really hope you enjoy it because I loved recording it. Do you ever feel like you're drowning in a sea of marketing musts and shitty business shoulds? Yeah? Well, you're in the right place. Your Biz, Your Rules is here to help you kick that crap out of the road so you can build your biz your way. Hi everyone, and oh my God, am I excited about this interview. So I was just doing a little bit of gushing before we hit record because Sarah is actually one of the first 3 people I ever started following online. So that's exciting. But anyway, enough fangirling from me. Sarah, hello, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about you.
Great. My name is Sarah von Bargen. My blog is called Yes and Yes. I've been blogging for 10 years, which makes me an absolute stegosaurus in terms of the internet. I teach and write about how people can spend their money, time, and energy on purpose. And so sometimes that looks like helping people live within their financial means in a way that feels good. Sometimes that's about goal setting or habit change. Sometimes that's about being really honest with yourself about what makes you happy and figuring out how you can add more to your life, more of that happy making stuff to your life. Sometimes it's about travel. Sometimes it's about low waste living. It takes lots of different forms, but it's basically about living a life with intention in a way that works for you and feels good and sustainable.
And I love that. And I feel like it's so important to follow people like you too, because as somebody who runs a business, I find myself often being swarmed by all of this information by other people who run businesses and teach people how to run businesses. And it's all just like business, business, business all the time. Mm-hmm. And you kind of forget that you're also a person with a life that needs living too.
Absolutely. And if you it's hard to be good at your business if you also don't have a life. There's tons of studies that I'm sure we've all read about how taking a break, having hobbies that are not monetized, how good that is for you psychologically, emotionally, creatively. And when all we do is work and then watch Netflix, which again, no judgment, we have all been there. But it's really important to fill your life with things that fill you up.
100%. I love any opportunity to talk about Instagram, and I feel like this is a really great point because it's kind of what I wanted to ask you about. So I saw you post of a couple of times actually, because we've already established I'm kind of a stalker. You've mentioned that you've managed to curate your Instagram feed so it's all highly inspiring but not depressing stuff.
Yeah.
The best way I can think of describing that. But I'd love if you could sort of share how you did that, because I want to do that.
Oh, absolutely. So I think one of the things that I think is really important is for us to be really intentional about the things that we let into our life, whether that's the TV shows we watch, the friendships that we have, the Instagram accounts that we follow. All of those things affect us in ways that we don't necessarily immediately realize. And so I, a few years ago, started to notice how I felt after reading certain magazines, how I felt after watching certain TV shows, how I felt after, falling down an Instagram hole of certain accounts. I found myself feeling thinking unkind thoughts about my appearance. I found myself thinking unkind thoughts about my income or, the car I owned or the house that I live in, or even I've been to 38 countries and reading Travel and Leisure made me feel like I wasn't good at traveling. Which was sort of a wake-up call, okay, Sarah, you need to reassess some of this stuff that you're allowing into your brain. And so when I started to notice that, I started to be a lot more intentional about the stuff that I let into my brain and into my eyes and into my heart. And so I started when someone's Instagram account would make me feel less than, and this is 100% about me, it's not about them. There are great Instagram accounts written by wonderful people that everybody loves that for a variety of reasons are just not right for me. Like there are people who are my friends in real life who I have to mute their Instagram account because like it doesn't feel great to know like those people are having a dinner party without me. So I don't need to see that. I don't need to see, there are a variety of things that I don't need to see. So I started very actively curating my Instagram feed. And so I noticed that if somebody's account made me feel less than, I would either unfollow or mute it. And I would go on to I think it's called your Discover page. It's where there are accounts that you don't already follow, but the algorithm believes based on what you like, these are things that you would like. And when I would see an image appear in my Discover page, there's a way you can do it. I think you click on the photo, the like offending photo, and then there are 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner, and you click on that, and one of the options is see fewer photos like this. So like, I don't need to see someone promoting like laxative tea. And so if one of those photos showed up in my Discover page, I would say, show me fewer photos like this. If I saw somebody in front of their Lamborghini, I would say, show me fewer photos like this. And so I slowly curated that. And also the algorithm, when you like something or comment on something, it says to the algorithm, I like this and I want to see more of this. So there are accounts that I follow where like 90% of their content I love and maybe 10% of their content is not right for me. So I make an intentional choice. I do not comment on or like that stuff because that's just reinforcing to the algorithm that I want to see more of that. So that's how and I also like think about, okay, well, what do I like? I love funny animals. I love photos of sort of underrepresented travel destinations. I love vegetarian recipes. I love DIY stuff. I love interior design that's not just like minimalist farmhouse. And so I actively seek out accounts like that and then like them and comment on them so I see more of it.
I like that because I was just going to ask like how you sort of replenish the feed once you've got rid of all of the stuff that doesn't really light you up, like how you find new people, because I know for me, I found that I get stuck in this trap of only really knowing who I know and like knowing the names that I know. Mm-hmm. And I think I'd love to find just this new injection of fun, normal people with inspirational content.
Yeah. And the other thing, I don't remember off the top of my head how to do it, but there is a way to like, when you follow a new account, I think when you follow a new account, there's like other accounts listed under it that are like similar. So that's really good. So I love following women, like I'm a size 8'10" and I'm 39 years old. And so I love following women who are in that same like size and age bracket. Like it feels great to see someone who has a body that looks like mine in a swimsuit and see like 4,000 comments being like, oh my God, like you look amazing. Like that feels great. I think everybody should have that experience of seeing someone who looks like you wearing skimpy clothes and having everybody tell them how hot they are. And so like, it's easy. Like once you follow one, 30 something, size 10, 30 something, it's easy to find more of them. And another thing that I do is I try to use my Instagram as a place for, not a vision board per se, but like, let's say I really want to do a hiking trip around Northern England. So I follow a bunch of accounts. It's Prim Up North. I follow a lot of accounts that are set and share photos of that area because that's an area that I want to go. If anybody has any good recommendations for Mongolia-centered Instagram accounts, I really want to go to Ulaanbaatar and take the Trans-Siberian. So I also use it as a space for inspiration and sort of like motivation, like, remember, this is a place that you want to visit. So let's start saving for that. Let's start planning for that.
I love that. I feel like one for me would be interiors because I'm sort of in the process of redecorating my entire house.
Oh, wow.
But I can't bear like minimalist stuff and stuff that's clinical and neutral because that is not me. Like I like all of the color and patterns and more. So I feel like I need like all of the wacky boho people to follow.
Yes, yeah. And it feels so good. It gives you so many ideas. And it also just, whatever the thing is that you want, like seeing it in front of you a lot sort of normalizes it. It's no longer like, oh my God, can I make this happen? Oh, it's so far out of my reach. But when you see it all the time, it becomes much more like accessible and like, yeah, of course I can do that. Of course I can paint my room that color. Of course I can, go visit that pub in England.
So I suppose it is the same principle as a vision board, really.
Yes, yeah. But it's even nicer because you can like interact with the people who are currently living what you want for yourself.
Yeah, there's the human element. It's not just this wish list of things that may or may not happen.
Yeah.
It's things that could.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things I love about your account that you've been sharing is all of the no grocery challenge stuff. Like you probably know I've been responding to like everything, but I love it. It feels like, do you ever watch Masterchef?
I am familiar with it. I think I've only watched it like twice, but I know. Is that the one where they give you set ingredients and then you have to make something?
Yeah, so they have all kinds of different challenges, but that's one of them. And so you have like this box of random stuff and you have to invent this amazing meal. And I feel like it's just that because you share this picture of these ingredients and then you show the finished meal. And I'm like, oh my God, I want to do this. It's so much fun because I love cooking.
It's so much fun. It is so much fun. Like I am someone, like I thrive under constraints. Like if you said to me, Sarah, you are going to a wedding, you have $20, go into Goodwill, you have 20 minutes and $20, find something. I could do that and I would look amazing. If you gave me an unlimited budget and sent me to the Mall of America, I would like end up having a nervous breakdown like in the aquarium. Like I'm so much better with constraints. And I think for a lot of creative people, that's how it is. Like they'll do so much better if you say like, you can only use this color paint. This is your time limit. You have to write a short story that's 500 words. It's a lot easier for me. And I think for a lot of creative people to work within constraints rather than just having sort of free reign over everything.
Well, I know when I started seeing you share it in your stories, I sort of did that thing, we're like, oh yeah, I like the idea of that, but like tap next, tap next, tap next.
Yes, yeah.
And then right after Christmas, my fridge broke. And it broke in annoying ways. So it was still functioning, but like the door wouldn't close properly and the drawers all started snapping off. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to need a new fridge. I need to use up all of this stuff. So I was like, okay, perfect excuse, no grocery challenge. I'm finally going to do this. So I bought the one book. I was like, yes, exciting. I thought maybe I'd have a couple of weeks of food in my fridge and freezer. It was 6 weeks before I ordered a new fridge.
Yes. It is
how much stuff.
It is crazy how much food we in the Western world, like how much we have in our pantry. And like, so I do a no grocery challenge the last week of every month. And a lot of times people message me and they're like, how can you do this? And how do you have, what about fresh fruits and vegetables? And I'm like, I mean, don't you? I mean, I don't wait to go grocery shopping until all my fresh fruits and vegetables are gone. And also after I do my no grocery challenge, like there's usually still plenty of food like in the fridge left. Like it's rare that I, actually use everything up. And a lot of times like I'll make something for the no grocery challenge and then I'll end up having to freeze it, like freeze the leftovers of the no grocery challenge and then use them again the next month. And this is like all the methods that I teach in it, like how to arrange your fridge, how to arrange your pantry, like how to sort of resuscitate stuff, how to make it last longer. Like I use all of those methods and still I have stuff left.
Okay, I just have to insert this here. That thing about storing all of like your sauces and treats in the drawers instead of your fruit and veg in the drawers, that blew my mind because always kept the fruit and veg in the drawers and things always go bad at the back and slimy and gross. And so when I got this new fridge, I was like, okay, because it's just got one big drawer. And I was like, perfect size for all of like the sauces, the cheese, the chocolate, all of that stuff. And now the main shelves are full of my fruit and veg. And I've eaten so much more healthily since I started doing that because it's just within eye line.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And you're not like, my thing that I will eat with, I will just stand up and eat at the counter. I love dates stuffed with peanut butter. Which number one are really expensive. And also like, it's so easy just to eat them, but I put them in the back of the drawer and put like, sort of like pile other things on top of them. So I have to really like, okay, Sarah, I want to eat dates. Now here I go. I'm going to go open the drawer and find them. Instead of otherwise, like when they're at eye level, like, you're not even hungry. You just open the fridge and all of a sudden you've eaten like $3 worth of dates standing up at the counter while on your phone. Like that's not great. I don't want that.
Mine's hummus. I could stand there and eat hummus with a spoon.
Yes. Hummus, guac, cheese, dates. Those are all things that go in drawers or get stored in opaque containers. And I'm sure you know that I know it's really annoying, but store your leftovers in clear containers. Like even if you get the restaurant takeout and it's in like a cardboard box, I know it's annoying, but move it to something that's clear, because otherwise like you're not gonna see it and it's gonna go bad.
I think one other thing that has been a really good side effect of doing this is that it's pushed me to actually make proper lunch for myself, because I work from home. Mm-hmm. It is so easy to just work through and not have lunch, or have toast every day, or like that kind of thing, or just like a snack. Whereas this, because I had these ingredients that I was like challenging myself to use up, I actually put some thought into what I was going to feed myself every day. And it makes such a big difference to your energy levels and how you feel about life in general.
Yeah, it really does. Like it feels so much more like I'm an adult who's taking care of themselves. Like as I'm sure you've heard me talk about, like one of my personal barometers of success is that I eat an actual lunch, and I eat like, and one of the things we talk about in the No Grocery Challenge is sort of the importance of like making your meals look nice. So you don't feel like, well, this is leftovers I'm eating out of a Tupperware container. Like you plate it nicely. If you have some herbs, you like sprinkle them on top. Like you make it look nice because you care for yourself and you care about yourself, and you sit at the table with a real plate, not in front of the TV, and eat your nice meal. And it feels great. It's healthier. It's better emotionally and psychologically. You're giving yourself an actual break. So when you go back to work, you're focused, you're centered. And also like just eating on purpose is a lot better than, standing in front of the fridge, eating $3 worth of dates while you look at your phone.
So I always used to think that it was really decadent to make a proper meal for one person. It was, if I had anyone else there, then I would like spend 6 hours in the kitchen happily. But I just thought for just me, it feels like so over the top spending 20 minutes cooking a meal. Mm. But now I just feel like it's such a sign of adulting and evolution. Yes. And I can go and make a proper grown-up meal with fruit and veg and all of my different food groups, and it's just good.
Yeah, and that's something that I hear a lot from people all the time, is like, especially from people who work from home, like we have this tendency to work in our sweatpants and like work through lunch, or like lunch is a piece of toast. Like I totally get it. It is something that I have to actively work on as well. But like this idea that it's only worth, looking our best if other people are going to look at us, or it's only worth making a nice meal if we're sharing it with other people. And I think I suspect that this is more common among women, but like, we are worth it. We are worth looking nice just to look in the mirror. We are worth a nice meal that like takes 30 seconds to plate. Like we are worth the bed that has been made. And so like it makes our whole room feel nicer. Like we don't just have to save those things for other people to witness. It makes us feel better. And when we feel better, we're better employees, we're better partners. Like it's worth, and also usually in my experience, the like better version, the like where I put on my eyebrows and where I sit at the table, like it usually does not take that long. Better usually takes like between 5 and 10 minutes. Like it's not really as hard as we think it is.
So I also wanted to talk a little bit about something else. So we've already clearly established that I inhale all of your free content. I'm also a super customer. I've just finished working through your Bank Boost program. So let's talk about that, because
you were great in there.
Do you know what? I felt like I was a very bad student because I wasn't very active in the group, but I was really doing the work behind my computer.
Oh yeah, I thought that you were great. I appreciated your contributions.
So for anyone listening, Bank Boost is Sarah's month-ish long program that's all about really looking at your spending habits and saving a pot of money for whatever you want, or to pay off whatever you want, doing a bit of an earning spree and a spending diet, the terms that she uses. And it is such a, I don't want to say revolutionary because that sounds a little bit silly, but it was kind of revolutionary just thinking about the way you look at your personal finances, because I think a lot of us are very well behaved when it comes to things like business accounts, but we don't necessarily treat our personal money the same way.
Yes, it is incredibly common for people to, they will spend money with a lot of intention with their business and or like maybe their house and or maybe their children. But then when it comes to their own spending, it's a totally different ballgame.
One of the biggest shock, I was genuinely shocked. Like I had to wait for a couple of hours to actually go in the group after I discovered this thing. So one of the exercises that you got us to do was when we were figuring out our fun budget, to look back at what we'd spent in the previous month or so. And I was thinking, I'm not going to have spent that much because I never have any fun. Like that's what I think, like, all I do is work and watch Netflix with my dogs. That is my life.
Yeah.
And when I went back through my accounts, I did it for 2 months because after I did the first month, I was like, no, that can't be a thing. That must be because it was Christmas. But I did 2 months and I was like, holy shit, how am I spending so much money on not having any fun? Yeah. Like what is going on?
Yeah, it's incredibly common. Like when I work people through that exercise, a lot of times I have to say sort of like, what you're going to discover could be very like emotionally and psychologically sort of triggering. Like I have had people literally cry. But no matter what you discover, no matter what number you discover, you are not the first person who's had that discovery. Like hundreds of people have worked through this exercise. There was one guy, he did the exercise for the whole year and it wasn't even his fun. It wasn't even money he spent on fun. It was money that he spent in a regrettable manner, which is, not necessarily the same. And he discovered that he had spent $15,000 on things that he regretted buying. And he didn't, really think of himself as somebody who had a spending problem. $15,000 is a lot of money, you guys. That's like 2 used cars.
Or like half a house.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. So whenever anybody does that, and I maybe should even put like a warning before we work through that, like before I even explain this exercise, I want you to know that it might be emotionally challenging. Don't be hard on yourself if you make a discovery that is hard for you. But then maybe nobody would do it if I said that.
Funnily enough, though, the bit that I actually found most challenging from the whole, it wasn't the spending diet because I've always been a really good saver. It wasn't the earning spree because I'm an absolute workaholic, so that just comes naturally. It was actually thinking of ways to spend the fun budget every week. I mean, I think I spent my fun budget once the whole time, like 1 week, the whole challenge, because I just genuinely couldn't think of things to do. Like I did fun things, lying in bed and reading a book for fun rather than for business, and like going somewhere nice with the dogs for an extra nice walk. But I didn't do anything really that required spending the money that I'd set aside for fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think especially for entrepreneurs and self-employed people, because so many of us have been living this like hustle life, this like, can I monetize it? Every book I read has to be about work. Every coffee I have to have has to be a networking coffee. It can be really hard to turn that off and just allow yourself to be like, I'm going to go for coffee with my friend who's a high school teacher, and like our conversation is not going to contribute to my professional development at all. Or like, I'm going to go to that beautiful like plant store with all those flowers and those potted plants. And I'm not going to try and think of how I can turn this into a lesson that I put on Instagram. I'm not going to put it on social media. I'm just going to go enjoy the fact that it's warm and moist in here and like buy a plant and go home. Like it can be hard, especially for self-employed people who for years have not been in that mindset.
Yeah, I think when I first started my business, like many people, for the first few months, it's like you bootstrap a lot. Yeah. And you look for cheap fixes and you really try to reduce your spending wherever possible. And even though my business isn't in that place anymore, my head hasn't quite moved on.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And it can be, and I think it can be hard because depending on how a person's business is structured, it can sort of feel like, okay, but if I stop bootstrapping, what if next month isn't as good? Or like, what if I finally like put my assistant on retainer and then 4 months later I lose my biggest client but I'm still expected to pay $600 a month for my assistant. Like it can feel hard to sort of like, because it feels like you're breaking the seal. Like if I start spending differently, like, am I going to be able to stop? And the answer is yes, of course you can, but it can, it requires like some pretty conscious and intentional thought processes to change that thinking.
I have to say that I loved seeing all of the wins that people had at the end of the campaign. People did so well in so many different ways as well. Like nobody had the same story, and I suppose nobody had the same reason for doing the course in the first place. But it was quite just strange how different everybody's story was.
Yeah, it was my favorite story, and this is from 2 bank boosts ago. But so one of the things, as you know, that I talk about in Bank Boost is your success is directly correlated to how uncomfortable you're willing to be. And we even have a chart. We even have a chart that you're supposed to try and do 20 uncomfortable things during the 6 weeks of Bank Boost. And that uncomfortable it's subjective. So whatever makes you uncomfortable. Maybe it's when your friends all go out to dinner and they all have steak and 3 cocktails and you have a salad. Maybe your uncomfortable thing is being like, no, I'm not going to split the bill equally. Or maybe your uncomfortable thing is raising your rates. It's totally subjective. But 2 bank boosts ago, there was a woman who emailed me at the end of Bank Boost and she said, I got uncomfortable, but totally not in the way that you would probably necessarily think. I was in an abusive marriage for 20 years. My ex-husband owes me a lot of back alimony that he hasn't paid because I haven't pursued any legal action against him because I'm afraid of him, which is obviously very understandable. And she said, but you through the support of the Bank Boost group and through, like your support and you're encouraging us to get uncomfortable, I took him to court and she got all of her back alimony and he paid her lawyer's fees, which is thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. And now she has enough money for a house deposit. And this was from at the time when I was running Bank Boost, that was a $35 course.
That's a pretty amazing client win right there.
Yeah, I mean, like, and she allowed me to share it anonymously within our Facebook group, and like just everybody was like, it was all like crying emojis, and it was just wonderful. And being part of a group and seeing what people are doing, it's so motivating because if I read that and I had been on the fence about like, oh, should I send that pitch, and then I realized that somebody can take their abusive ex-husband to court, like I can send a pitch, like it's fine, So I think it's incredibly motivating to see what other people are doing because it also sort of helps you realize that maybe your uncomfortable thing is not nearly such a big deal.
I have to say the uncomfortable things chart definitely kept me on the path that I intended to be on because one of my big goals for this year, for the start of this year, was to relaunch my membership program. And historically, I've been really bad at doing that. Like I'm so bad at actually, I find it so easy to be visible and just talking about stuff. But when it comes to talking about stuff that you can buy from me, I'm like, oh my God, don't even look at me. So I filled in the worksheet of different sales activities that I could do that are super visible and weird and uncomfortable. So things like doing videos to sell things and writing all of these different sales emails and reaching out to people individually to tell them about the thing. And another one, which is kind of it hasn't been done yet, but actually by the time this goes out, it probably will have done. So in one of my sales emails, I promised that anyone that emails me with a question is going to get a video response while I'm drinking wine.
Oh, I love that. Oh my God, that's so good.
That is going to be fun for some and definitely uncomfortable for me, but I think it's a good way to add a little bit of whimsy to all the selling as well.
I think that is so great. My most uncomfortable thing, which I'm sure you saw me do and was very effective, is so as anybody who knows Instagram, who uses Instagram knows, once you reach 10,000 Instagram followers, you get what's called the swipe up option on Instagram stories, which makes anything that you're linking to or writing, it makes it a million times more accessible. Otherwise you have to be like, link in the bio. And then it's like, a series of like 5 clicks, which nobody cares about. And so when we were doing Bank Boost, I do Bank Boost alongside all of my client, like everybody in it. We're all doing it together. And so my incredibly uncomfortable thing was I very bluntly asked my newsletter subscribers, my blog readers, my Facebook followers, I very bluntly asked, I was like, will you guys please follow me on Instagram? I have 9,000 Instagram followers. I need 10,000 to get the swipe up. And I mean, I felt truly almost nauseous because it feels so awkward to be like, will you guys please do this thing for me? Like just to bluntly ask, it felt so gross and weird. And then I also said, if you already follow me, if you could tag some of your friends or share my stuff, that would be super helpful. And last Friday, I crossed over into 10,000 and now I have the coveted swipe up option. It's better for me. It's better for anybody who follows me. And it all came from being uncomfortable enough to ask for what I wanted.
I think there's a big lesson there because we just, as humans, don't seem to do that. It's easy to ask for something on behalf of someone else. So you'd be like, oh, go and follow my friend on Instagram. But you wouldn't be like, follow me.
Yes. Yeah. Because it feels like if I was good, you'd be following me already. But yeah, it was a really good lesson in just bluntly, nicely. And I think the other thing that's important is when you ask for something like that, sort of explaining why. I don't think I'm going to be asking for any more Instagram followers now because I got the swipe up and I don't think there are any other things that I need. But people, when they understood why I was asking and when they understood it's better for all of us if I have the swipe up option, it's way easier for you to read the stuff that I write. Or, when I post a photo of the headboard in my bedroom and everybody's like, where did you get that? It's just way better for all of us if I can link directly to the sales page for that headboard instead of doing a screenshot of it. So when I explained why I was asking and how it would be beneficial to the people I'm asking, I think that helped a lot too.
Well, I think that's another thing that stops a lot of people is they feel some sort of shame for their reasons why, as if it has to be a profound and life-altering or community-building thing in order to ask for something, when in reality, it can just be because you want to swipe up.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
So when are you next running Bank Boost?
Oh gosh, Bank Boost. The next time I'm going to run Bank Boost will be at the end of April. I am running. So I have 3 courses, and they're all available in self-paced versions. But because I, as a former classroom teacher, know that live teaching is exponentially more effective, I also run live versions of them throughout the year. So if you've purchased the self-paced version, you get one free go round in a live version. So in the middle of April, or in the middle of March, I think March 19th, I'm reopening Make It Stick Habit School, which is a super popular course of mine, which is where over the course of 6 weeks, we collectively either build or break a bad habit. And we also talk through the neuroscience, the psychology, the emotions of habit change, and also a lot of sort of nitty gritty stuff. This is how you track the process. This is how you choose a habit. This is how you understand the triggers for your habit, that kind of stuff. It's really fun. People love it. I personally, oh yeah, I didn't know that. I have used the methods that I teach in Habit School. I use to develop my writing habit. And if I track the difference in how much money I made as a teacher and how much money I've made since I left teaching and the value of my daily writing habit, I think it's currently $300,000 that my writing habit is worth $300,000. And we all have habits like that. Maybe your running habit keeps you from, having to have these various surgeries. Maybe your meditation habit keeps you from having to be on, X medication. Maybe your writing habit brings in X thousands of dollars. Maybe you develop a habit of every morning you send one networking email. God, that would bring in, tens or thousands or, so much money. So obviously it doesn't all come down to money, but I think that that's when people sort of realize like, wow, if I created a habit that I used for the rest of my life, the sort of domino effect, or even like if you develop a good sleep habits, like how that can affect absolutely everything in your life. Like it could save your marriage. It could make you a better parent. It could make you a better employee. So I think when we think about habits in those terms and the really, really tangible effects that that they can have on our life, it's really motivating to think about how you can either break or build different habits.
I love talking about habits. It's like,
Oh, yeah.
it's like my ultimate guilty pleasure, like reading about habits and talking about habits and productivity and all of that stuff. It's like, yeah, so much fun.
Yeah, I love it as well. The one thing, my poor husband. So like the rule number one before you even get to the first the first module in habit school is like you are the only one who can decide to change your habit. If you are trying to change a habit out of obligation or shame or because like you're trying to keep up with other people in your life, it's not going to work. And so my husband, like he has never taken habit school because like he's not ready, and me trying to make him that's not how it works. You can't make somebody want to change a habit. So I'm constantly trying to talk to him about habit change, and he's constantly like, babe, it's not going to happen. So I'm always really excited when I encounter somebody else who likes to talk about habits, since they're sort of falling on deaf ears in my house.
Oh, the same here. Mm-hmm. And like, I will read and like watch endless YouTube videos about other people's habits, and I'm like, oh my God, I have to try this. Yeah. Because I just love the process of testing out new habits and talking about the habits that I'm trying and just all of that stuff. It's so geeky, but I love it.
Oh no, clearly I love it as well. I made a whole course about it that I run multiple times a year because I get so excited about it and I want to do it along with more people. Like I already know what habit I'm going to work on for this live version of Habit School, and I'm like not starting it until Habit School runs because I'm like saving it so I can do it alongside everybody.
What's it going to be?
Oh, it's going to be a movement habit. I used to have a really great when I got married, I moved to a different part of Minneapolis, and I had a really like written in stone sort of movement and fitness habit that was specific to the neighborhood I lived in, because there was a really great set of outdoor stairs that I could run up and down. That was, it was like a half a mile, so I could run there, run up and down the stairs, and then run back. Then I moved to a different neighborhood, and I couldn't do that. And also, I went from living by myself to being married with two stepsons. So obviously my time is used differently. And there's no gym near me. So I have been sort of doing the pre-work to figure out how my movement habit is going to be structured in terms of like what I'm going to be doing, and like if there's bad weather, and like if I feel ill, and like what about the dog. But I'm literally waiting until I run Habit School Live, because I know that doing it alongside everybody will be a lot more effective.
Just hearing you talk about this is making me all tingly. I might have to sign up and do it with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, the same situation where it's a group of people and people are weighing in with like, oh, I wanted, like I almost fell off the wagon, but then I remembered this, so I didn't. Or like, I'm so excited because I'm on like a 12-day streak, or I'm so proud of myself because I'm traveling, but I found a way. I'm doing a bookmark habit so I don't like lose momentum. Like, it's just so great to see all that stuff.
Okay, so with Bank Booze, I just wanted to talk really briefly about the way that you decided to run it, because from a business perspective, I think it's really interesting in that it goes against all of the advice that you're giving.
Wrong. I'm totally doing it quote unquote wrong.
Which is interesting because it was an amazing thing to be part of, the way you run it. Mm-hmm. So I just am nosy / curious how you made those choices.
Yes. So for anybody who's listening, the traditional wisdom about online courses is like generally they start at like $97 and go up to like $2,000. They are usually self-paced, which means you buy it and then you like log into a learning portal and you can, watch videos and like download things sort of at your leisure. And maybe there's a Facebook group. But a lot of times there's not. Or if it's a Facebook group, like, is anybody posting in there? What's happening with it? So that is the way online courses are traditionally run. Bank Boost, when it runs again in April, it will be $55, which is obviously way, way, way less than most courses. And my students during the 6 weeks, they bring in usually somewhere between $400 and $6,000. So obviously $6,000 is a pretty good return on $55. And I constantly get people telling me that I need to raise the price. But number one, if you have money struggles, you should not be buying a course that you can't afford. Like there are money courses that cost, like money manifesting courses that cost $1,500. If you have money issues, spoiler alert, you should not be buying a $1,500 course about manifesting money. Like that is, I think that's really unethical. And the other thing is that self-paced online courses have a 3% completion rate. And I don't feel like, and maybe like if I was a course creator and I was unaware of that statistic, okay, sure. Like I would put together an evergreen course and like, maybe I would notice that people aren't completing it. Okay, sure, whatever. But like, I can't unknow that. I can't unknow the fact that if I make something self-paced, 97% of people aren't going to finish it. Like it doesn't feel good to me to take somebody's money knowing that only 3% of them are going to get their money's worth. And also I think, so I was a classroom teacher for 7 years. So I also can't unknow all that pedagogical theory that I learned in graduate school. Like I can't unknow the fact that people need accountability, or that they need, live Q&As, or that they need things structured to different learning styles. So like, I realize that maybe this is information that not a lot of online course creators have. Maybe they don't know that they're creating stuff that most people doesn't work for, but I know that, so I cannot in good faith be like, I'm going to create something that doesn't work for people. So that's how I do it. I keep it affordable and I run it live. If anybody wants to like do it self-paced, the course comes with a workbook that basically includes all of the information that we go over in the course. So like if you want to buy the book, like right now, you can buy the book and go through it by yourself. But if you know that you need accountability and live Q&As in a private Facebook group, then, just wait and take it live. And the other thing that I've found is when I talk to friends who have courses that are, in the hundreds of dollars, and we talk about how much they made on their launch, it's not wildly different than how much I make. I think because it's much harder to convince people to buy a $400 product than it is to convince them to buy a $45 product. And also, like, if you sell somebody a $400 product, a $400 e-course, and they don't finish it, they're not telling anybody about it. Like, they're not going to tell their friends, I bought this course about Facebook marketing and then I didn't finish it. Like, nobody's going to talk about that. But if you buy a $55 course and it helps you bring in $6,000 and it was filled with amazing people, you're totally going to tell people about it. So, like, to me, it's the ethical way to run a business. And it's fun for me. And also, like, it creates really tenacious, ravenous supporters because they see the results and they appreciate the fact that I made this available to them for less than $100 and they get amazing results.
100%.
Well, and I mean, like, the fact that we talked about it for 20 minutes because you loved it. And like, if I would have sold you a course that was self-paced and you didn't complete it, we probably would not have talked about it for 20 minutes.
That's so true. Okay, so a fun question that I like to ask everybody when we get towards the end is, what is your biggest guilty pleasure and how do you weave it into the way you work?
Oh, God, that's a great question. Well, I should say that I don't particularly believe in guilty pleasures. I just like what I like. And if somebody tries to shame me, I'm like, what? Yes, I like Kesha. Yes, I've seen her in concert multiple times. Next question. But I would say, oh gosh. I'm not sure if it's a guilty pleasure, but so I am watching Gilmore Girls for the first time in my life. I am watching Gilmore Girls and I'm reading Harry Potter, both for the first time in my life, because I was the exact wrong age when both of those came out, because I was in college and I was a very like devoted college student who was doing internships at like a rigorous college. So I didn't I didn't have time for Lorelai and Rory. So I would say my biggest guilty pleasure is including at least one full episode of Gilmore Girls every workday. Like I do not wait. Like this is not, I'm not necessarily like my reward for finishing my workday is an episode of Gilmore Girls. It's like 2 p.m. I'm going to watch an episode of Gilmore Girls and then I'm going to work for like 2 more hours. So I would say that's probably my biggest quote unquote guilty pleasure. But I have zero qualms about it. Like when I see my friends who have watched it, I'm like, let's discuss, insert thing here.
So I have seen every episode at least 7 times.
Oh my gosh, fun.
It's so bad. Like, I probably could reel them off word for word at this point.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
I 100% approve of that pleasure. And I'm a Harry Potter fan too, so.
Oh yeah, what is your house?
I am a Ravenclaw.
I am also a Ravenclaw. What is your Patronus?
I haven't done that test.
Oh, I'm an osprey. I don't really know what that means. I guess I'm a fish bird, a bird who likes to swoop down into the water and get fish. I don't know.
I will do the test and I will let you know.
Yes, I actually just posted on Instagram today where I was asking everybody what their houses were. So you'll have to weigh in on that. There's a lot of Ravenclaws. Only one Hufflepuff that I've seen so far in the comments. I was honestly a little bit surprised that I was not a Slytherin because
full disclosure. Yeah. I have done the test twice, and one time I got Ravenclaw, one time I got Slytherin.
Ooh, interesting.
Completely dependent on my mood on the different days.
Yeah, I could see that because I am shrewd and I'm ambitious. So I think I'm like a Raven Slytherin or something.
Yeah, that should be a thing.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or a Slitherclaw.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. That's better. Slitherclaw. I love it.
Okay, so to wrap up, tell us where we can find you online.
Absolutely. So my blog is at yesandyes.org, and I am everywhere on social media at Yes and Yes Blog. I am very active on Instagram stories, so that's probably like where you want to, if you want to see me, quote unquote, see me every day, that's where I am. And that's where my no grocery challenge is happening. I do it the last week of every month. So you can see like the photo of the before, a random variety of ingredients that you can't possibly imagine are going to turn into something. And then the after where it's like like a pretty nice meal.
Before I end this, I just have to say I do love how you label all of your ingredients. Like everything gets its own label, but if it's an onion, it's always onion duh. Like it's not a duh that this is a cauliflower or this is broccoli. Like people might not know that, but an onion, everyone should know.
Yes, yeah. And I'm also always like, this is a sad wrinkled pepper that we've had for 2 weeks, or like dusty can of corn that I forgot we had. It's important that people know these things.
I love it. Everyone follow along. It's so much fun. And I'm completely stealing the idea and going to be doing this myself now going forward, even though we've got a new fridge.
Yeah, it's so fun. And also like it will save you. I don't know what it's like in the UK, but Americans throw out 40% of their food, and the average American wastes $1,500 a year on food they don't eat. So like it's worth doing it to save yourself time and money, and it's way better for the environment. And also, you don't have to go to the grocery store all the time. Like just pop to the grocery store for something quick, and then like $60 and an hour later, you emerge. Like, just try it. It's fun, and it'll save you time, money, and the environment.
Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been a lot of fun getting to chat about all of this stuff with you, and getting to actually speak to you in real life has been fun as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
So for those of you new to the show, every week I like to leave you with a little bit of homework to encourage you to take some action. And this week, it's a 3-parter. So first, I want you to spend 5 to 10 minutes scrolling down your Instagram feed and muting or unfollowing any account that doesn't make you feel good. Then I want you to tap onto your Discover tab just by hitting that little magnifying glass icon at the bottom, and spend 5 minutes decluttering it, like hiding anything you don't want to see more of, filtering out the topics you're not interested in, that kind of thing. And then thirdly, I want you to share a post or share a story outlining exactly what kinds of accounts you would like to be following more of. so that you can encourage some feedback and suggestions from your people. And don't forget to tag me at Dara Charlotte and tag Your Biz Your Rules to be in with a chance of winning a free one-on-one coaching session with yours truly. Thank you so much for listening. I genuinely hope that you enjoyed listening to this episode as much as I enjoyed creating it, because seriously, I love this stuff. Now, if you'd like to take it a little bit further, if you'd like to learn more from me, just have a bit of a chat, or share your thoughts on this show, then please do come find me on Instagram. My handle is @DaraCharlotte. I'll see you there.